let's make sense of these allegations first. I know he's not one of the, he's just one out of a lot of other big names, you know, that have been involved in this. Yet, Emefiele under, you know, the radar again. Yeah. What do you make of all this?
Well, the arrests, detention, and prosecution of Godwin Emefiele is going to open can of worms. I'm not surprised that somebody is bold enough, or maybe an organization is bold enough
to raise a petition.
And that person has also copied the special investigator.
Yeah,
Obaze. And the person is categorical about that very issue. The movement of foreign exchange to the tune of $3-point-something billion in one transaction. That is one transaction to an individual, not at the prevalent rate, but at a rate that is ridiculous. And when you also look at the commissioning of the Dangote refinery, Emefiele, who has been, I mean, he's been doing the kind of maneuvering since the Naira, since his aspiration, the Naira change, the allegation that he was funding terrorism, and the way his security was changed. Now military were protecting him, the SS were no longer protecting him, and all of that at some point. And he spoke at that commissioner of the commissioning, in quotes, of the refinery, which has remained uncompleted. He said, they thought we couldn't do it. We have done it. And some of us were asking,
who are the we?
Who are the we? This is supposed to be a private refinery. Started few years ago and is now commissioned to start production almost immediately. So the question arose when he went further to add that Dangote has refunded 70% of the loan federal government gave to him. 70%.
According to the CBN
governor. According to CBN governor.
And the refinery has not even started working.
The refinery has not started working? Where did he get the money? How much loan did you give to a private person to fund the biggest refinery almost in the world?
The biggest modular refinery.
Yes, and then what are we talking about? The issue of the government's investment in it, just 20%. So I raised the statement, put a question mark on the transparency of even the ownership of Dangote refinery.
No, but that's never been hidden. We hear that he is a majority stakeholder. It's not 100% his own.
There is
also a possibility, not even a possibility, we've also heard that a significant fraction of it is owned by government.
20%. Government have been clear on that 20%.
Exactly.
But then how is
Dangote is the controller. He has controlling shares.
Those that have done some background checks have said that they have not been to see other investors in that refinery.
It's possible.
Yeah. They have not been able to see them through the records here and there. But that's not even the issue. The issue is that Emefiele shot himself in the foot.
By that statement.
By that statement, which is subject to investigation. So I want to commend Awal, what is his name, the person that raised the petition, because there's no two ways about it. What has been going on in this country over some years now calls for probe. It calls for very serious probe, because we cannot, for whatever reason, continue to be deceiving ourselves that we are running a country which we hope to work, whereas some persons have taken us for a ride. I commend the petitioner.
All right, we had argued off camera that no way Emefiele would have taken these economic and political decisions without an executive approval, from the presidency, which is his president then was Muhammadu Buhari.
Yeah.
Now he's no longer in the administration, and it seems it's Emefiele that's taking the whole fall. What is going on? Is it that the president cannot be tried, or what exactly is going on?
We've not gotten there yet. Emefiele is under investigation officially, and that tells you that the previous administration under Buhari, then President Buhari, is under trial. When you get hold of somebody like the CBN governor or a minister for finance, even at the state level, commissioner for finance, anytime you hear that the commissioner of finance or the general or accountant general mostly are under investigation, just know that the governor of that state is on trial. Okay. The same applies at
the CBN
at the level of the federal government. In fact, for CBN governor to be under trial, the former president is under trial. And
technically so.
Technically so.
But you're saying it hasn't gotten to the level where he probably may be invited.
By the time the records are unveiled,
are opened,
definitely there will be invitations. And there will be no two ways about that, because the kind of things that transpired under Emefiele and the guts he had, he was always quoting, I got Mr. President's approval. Even when the Minister of Finance was saying that, I am not aware of this. He said it was discussed at the Federal Executive Council.
When 2-point-something trillion was suddenly discovered in the account.
Yeah, so a number of things went wrong. Okay. But because politicians have taken for granted that citizens, particularly Nigerians, before now, I want to say before now, threw up an issue, and that seems to put pressure on the system. The government will initiate some other thing to distract, and citizens will go to that one, and from one to another one. But things have changed. Yeah, sincerely.
Okay, but why we still have this conversation, citizen? A lot of people will argue that during Buhari's administration, when a ministry or a department or an agency is investigated or certain things crop up, there is a way Muhammadu Buhari is shielded from it. It's not the first, it's not the second. Are we sure that in this Emefiele's case, he will not also be shielded?
No, when we talk about shielding, I don't believe in that, because when you see some...
But you agree that for a long time, when things go wrong, the blame doesn't stop at the president's desk.
It was all decoys. It's for those who are gullible to believe that. These are just obvious. You cannot find somebody that is trying to hide behind one finger, and you take that person seriously.
True, but it's good that we know that he cannot, be dissociated from whatever is happening.
Yes.
But the fact that no questions are raised, no issues are raised against him, or maybe at some point called to answer certain questions, is that not a bad signal?
There is what is called immunity.
During this administration, yes, I remember.
As a sitting president, there's immunity.
Article 2.
Sitting governors,
308.
There's immunity.
I remember.
But you look at the issues involved. For instance, that central bank was printing money secretly. And the first person that openly raised the alarm
was the governor
of Edo State, who said, all is not well in this country. All is not well in this country.
A lot of things are
Central bank printed 60 billion to augment to what was said to us. And I remember when the central bank governor, about 2-3 days after, was reacting to it, he couldn't deny it. He was sweating. He was mopping sweat in public. He's saying that people should be aware how they talk. But what did we have?
He was referring to the governor.
Referring to
the governor.
Governor Obaseki. At the twilight of the end of the administration, Mr. President sent a bill to the National Assembly requesting for approval for 23 trillion that was illegally printed to augment for whatever. He never got approval.
No, but it wasn't put that way. There was a technical way.
There was no technical way. We need to be, spade is a spade.
Well, no, you are saying it because that is what it is.
Okay.
But when the presidency transmitted that letter, that wasn't how it was titled, was that?
Yeah, that's how it was titled. He needed approval for those things that were done without approval. But otherwise, the system was going to collapse.
Yes.
And initially, they did not approve it. But eventually, Trust Lawan's tenure,
Yeah.
he had said it openly
The rubber
that
stamp assembly.
whatever you bring, we will approve.
To make things easy for you, according to him.
It's not a matter, that's belittling, that was demeaning on the status of the legislature. If Saraki had done the same thing, only God knows how many trillions we will have owed by now. And you now come to discover from the investigation so far that Central Bank had gotten how much? About
from where?
From Goldman Sachs, I think.
Okay, $15 billion. 3 foreign banks.
Exactly, about two of them.
Yeah.
15.
JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs.
Exactly.
$15 billion.
Dollars. Secret loan again. Which means these people, like analysts, civil society people have been saying, all is not well. But all is not well. We had people that had turned President Buhari into a deity, which the man was not.
Exactly.
And now we are paying for it.
Exactly. And in addition, the public also had serious eyebrows raised when under President Muhammadu Buhari, there was a move to also borrow from the pensions fund. Trillions, you remember?
No, they were taking some, not that.
They were already taking.
They were already taking. It's just that when this thing leaks, they will now find a way to douse attention or distract.
Yeah, it was in mainstream media that federal government had borrowed trillions from the pensions fund.
Nothing worked under the last administration. And as we have gotten to know now, over 90% of our entire revenue is used in debt servicing. It is that bad. But because those that steer conversation, those that want to control how people think, have been able to achieve a lot by maybe dangling some petty things at some people that are vocal,
as
so that
distraction.
Those distractions, those that are vocal, those that are trying to make the system work, they will brand you anti-system. Unfortunately, most eyes are always at the national, but at various states, local government that didn't even exist, the rot is as bad as what we had in the last administration. So for Asiwaju, he is bound, duty bound, not just to step on toes, but to crush toes, if Nigeria is to come out from the quagmire we've been pushed in.
So far so good. With a few of the things he had dropped, would you agree that his body language senses that he is here to take off heads, if need be, to ensure that the economy bounces back? Are you convinced?
I'm not convinced because of what is happening. I'm convinced because of the seeming responsiveness nature of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the fact that citizens, because of the outcome of the last election, most citizens have been radicalized positively. They have become so conscious that if you feel you are dealing with a gullible citizen because whether he's not educated, he doesn't hold any position, so you can tell him anything, he will go to sleep with it. Anybody that thinks like that in this present Nigeria is deceiving himself. So the level of engagement of citizens and the approach is such that you can't send the military after them. Yes, advocacy, frank conversation, where if you want to say you are not telling the truth, you are misleading, you are inciting the public, bring the alternative to the table. You won't be able to bring. You wouldn't even have the table because people have destroyed, some people have destroyed the table. That's why I want to advocate that going forward, the present National Assembly should look at how to tinker with the legal framework on screenings of candidates for elections. We should not be talking about people not being qualified to have contested elections.
After the election.
After the election, no.
That's pretty ugly.
Anybody who goes to court to challenge the eligibility of a candidate, whosoever that candidate is, if found guilty, the screening authorities must pay for it. You can't allow somebody that's not qualified to stand election. We should be looking at the issue of, election was not free and fair.
Not qualification.
Not qualification, for God's sake.
Contestants.
It's belittling on who we are. So really, that should be done. Then nobody should be sworn in
until this case so which means that the Electoral Act, I can't remember now whether it's the pre or post, would need to be, modified. Because the Constitution allows for 180 days.
Yes.
180 days to be stretched, let's say, the Election Petition Tribunal, and then about a month or about 30 days for the Supreme Court.
No, it's
180 days.
It's not necessary.
Okay.
Which means we need to conduct elections. We need to reduce that timeline.
Yes.
Because I think it happened in Kenya.
Yeah. The judiciary has to step on the case immediately after
almost
elections.
A week or two,
and not waste time.
Was it up to 3 weeks? So what do you do in court for 6 months? It's unnecessary.
Completely unnecessary.
Yeah, it's unnecessary. Our IQ is higher than what we have been made to operate under. Yes.